Hi, welcome to a reflection for September the 3rd around the verses of 2 Corinthians 2, verses 15 and 16. Let me just read them. They're very powerful to me, have been for many years. For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ amongst those who are being saved and those who are perishing. To the one we are an aroma that brings death, to the other an aroma that brings life. And who is equal to such a task? Indeed. So Jim and I, my husband and I, run a home group called Christians in the Workplace, and it's in the context of us in the workplace that these verses have such significance. It takes me back to when I was very young, a 5-6-year-old. I was born in Cuba, left with the revolution with my parents. We lost everything. We left Cuba on the last flight the day before the United States broke relations with Cuba. So the parallels to what's going on in Afghanistan right now, pretty powerful. And so we landed in first Puerto Rico and then the American Virgin Islands. We weren't American citizens, but my father had connections with the US federal government. So Papa had a job after a few months in St. Thomas, and Mama, who was in finance, also managed to get a job. She spoke no English, or very little English. But in finance, you can make your way with very little English. And she was responsible for working in an organization that imported perfumes, liquor, and tobacco to this free port called St. Thomas. So very young, I remember doing stock takes with her in the perfume section, knowing my Nina Ricci's from my Madame Rochat, and the fragrance of the place was absolutely amazing. So when I came to faith in Christ and I read this verse for the first time, 2 Corinthians 2, 15 to 16, for you are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ amongst those who are being saved and those who are perishing. I thought, wow, me, the aroma, the fragrance of Christ, what a joy. And in work, so I came to faith in Christ when I was 17 in Brazil. So from a 4-year-old to a 17-year-old to now, I'm not going to tell you, but in a work context, the pleasing aroma of Christ to God, yeah, and amongst those with whom I work. So I think as I go into clients, whether it's by Zoom or in person, I go, what am I the aroma of? Am I the aroma of death because they're not interested in things of faith and perhaps they identify me with that and therefore there's a disconnect? Or am I a fragrance of those who are seeking a fragrance of Christ, of goodness, of kindness to those who are seeking? During the pandemic, the whole concept of compassion and kindness came to the front. And so I found it much easier to share relevant verses with clients. Verses like when we're talking about trust, self-interest. And then I'll say, and it's true, there's a wonderful verse that I hold on to that says, look not only after your own interest, but also the interest of others. A guiding principle for kindness, a guiding principle in business where, of course, business is there to deliver results, to increase the value of wealth for its shareholders, to increase value to its customers. But the point is, can we do it with kindness? Can we do it with compassion? And that is the message at the heart of the goodness of God in our lives. So when I go into places of work, am I a pleasing aroma of Christ for those with whom I am in contact? Would they get something of the goodness and the kindness and the compassion of Christ when they exchange with me, when they have time with me? That is my prayer as I go to my clients' offices. Father, that I might be the fragrance of Christ in this place. So I leave that with you. At a moment when the world is really challenged on so many fronts, not least and perhaps foremost on what's happened in Afghanistan in the last few weeks that ended but didn't end with the last flights out on the 31st, on the 30th of August. Are we the fragrance of Christ? We in the West, are we the fragrance of Christ in that place? Or is it a stench that we leave behind? Getting us out of the concept of Afghanistan, let me deal with what I can take responsibility for. Am I the fragrance of Christ in the places of work that I go into, that I have the privilege of exchanging with? I pray that I am. And I pray that you will be the fragrance of Christ in your homes, with your families, in your community, in your places of work. I pray, and I would ask you to pray for me and with me, that I might be the fragrance of Christ in the places where I interact, starting in my home, extending to my family, my husband's family in this country, extending to my friends in my community, to our church at Christchurch, extending to the places in which I work. That you might join me in prayer, that I might be the fragrance of Christ in these places. Have a great day.